Hey, it's Lizzie. Welcome to part three of our more serious discussion on the life experiences of Sasha and Tony. If you missed the last two episodes, now is a good time to go back and listen. This episode became sort of a debrief on Sasha and Tony's stories. All right, let's get into it.
Dear listeners, just when you thought that it couldn't get any worse, it's about to get funnier. Sincerely, Tactless.
We know that Christian counselors are, invested in preserving marriage. It's a biblical thing. But do you have any advice for them looking for these people that obviously this is not a marriage that should be preserved?
I honestly think that Christian counselors I guess, tend to be naive themselves and almost take for granted that they work with people who are Christians regularly. And they don't even seem to entertain the idea that even Satan can make himself look like a beautiful angel, you know? And I think that, obviously not saying these people are Satan, but they're definitely not sincere. They're not people with true faith. They, try to make themselves appear to be Christian to further their own agenda. And I think that having gone to a Christian marriage counselor too, that, they just don't even think that this person could be insincere. And I feel like it's sad because it really kind of pushed me in a way to stay in a relationship I shouldn't have been in. Not only because of the counselor, but because, in general, the church doesn't support divorce. And they always say, oh, well, unless there's, serious abuse and whatever else. But the number of times that my ex was physical with me was fairly few and far between, and it wasn't ever like she broke my nose or anything, like that. It wasn't awful. I think people also don't understand how much more damaging the psychological abuse is. And talk about PTSD. I feel like you have worse PTSD from that, and you have more to learn to get out of that than if it was simple cause and effect that you pissed somebody off and they slapped you, And I'm saying that from being in the position of having pissed somebody off and had them slap me. It's almost worse that they play all those mind games with you and get you to doubt your own reality with all the gaslighting that they do. And man, it's amazing to see anyone pull themselves up out of that hole after they get out of a relationship like that. It really is. And it really spurs me forward to even want to do this and talk about it, because maybe I could help one person. And I know how shitty that is to be in that position, and you need somebody to help you. And gosh, I feel for anybody who's in that position right now. Do what you can to get out of there. Yes. Seriously.
Please do. And I mean, I don't want to go against a part of what you just said, but anytime a person comes at you physically, that's not okay. Never. Even if, like you say, you're a man and it's a woman and she can't really hit you that hard, maybe because she's weak or whatever. That's never okay. The way that she treated you is not good at all.
Yeah, and speaking of that too, it kind of sucks being being a man and being in a relationship with a woman who's abusive, because not only does it not feel like something that you can talk to a lot of people about, but when you do, they kind of minimize it too,
Right.
Like,
yeah, that's why I wanted to say.
you got hit by a girl. It's not really that bad, is it? And you're like, well, she didn't kill me or anything, but just the fact that she made the decision to hit me and then followed through on it shows a lot of what's going on up there in her mind,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that she's willing to cross that line too. And that's a whole other topic for a whole other time, though, is the disparity between men and women in abusive relationships, because it's kind of crazy to see the difference.
It is. Yeah,
It
I think
is.
it is worth saying that anybody who, in a fit of anger, that's their default to use physical force, that's not okay. That is not okay.
No. And I even had police one time minimize what happened to me. So, I mean, it's not just, when a man is abused by a woman, but I think it does happen a lot more. Like when it does happen to a man and they think, oh, it's not that bad, it's, oh, what did she do? She just barely tapped you or, but I don't think that's ever okay in any circumstance ever. That's just not. I don't care how mad you are, or, how provoked you are. That's never okay.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with your statements about the counseling. And in my situation, my ex was very good at playing the part. He knew all the Bible verses he needed to know. He had been a missionary at one point, or not a missionary, but he would go witnessing to people and trying to convert them. And he was so good at playing the part, and nobody caught it. Nobody saw that he was faking it, that it wasn't genuine, that it was those sales tactics that he was doing, to win people over. That's what he was doing. It wasn't that he actually believed anything that he was saying. It's so hard because these counselors, they don't know what they're dealing with, and they need to be better prepared. I feel like for people like that who are the wolf in sheep's clothing. I can't tell you how many times I was quoted that submit to your husband verse. And I would get so confused, like, wives, submit to your husbands, and it's crazy because people miss a couple verses before that where it says submit to each other mutually, husbands and wives. And I couldn't say that I even really understood the real meaning of that passage until later on. I thought it was like I just needed to shut up and do what he said because he was my husband and we had to stay married because we made that promise before God. And I would say he totally twisted a lot of things in the Bible to suit him and to keep me, kind of underfoot. I would probably put it that way because that's how I felt. I don't know if you can relate to that, Tony, but
Yeah, I can. And I mean, speaking of that too, it's kind of, coming from a Christian background, it's another one of those things where you don't expect people to twist scripture like that. But with these type of people, with narcissists, there is nothing that is off limits. Like there's nothing that's sacred. There's no line that they won't cross. So they really, they love to latch on to something like that you believe in, and they try to make it work for them so that they can say that you weren't doing. See, look, you believe in this book, and it says right here that you suck and you did this wrong. And like they love that stuff, and it's really disgusting when you think about it. That they would use scripture in that way. But like I said, there's nothing off limits for them. They'd use any book if they thought it would work.
Yeah. The end always justifies the means
every single time. Yep. We're gonna sound like a broken record, but hopefully we get through to somebody with that.
I hope so. I really hope so. Like that's why I'm doing this too, because there were just so many things that I didn't see and I didn't trust my instincts. And I'm just like, if I could say one thing that clicks with somebody, that opens their eyes a little bit, to gets them to start questioning things, then thank God. And that's what this is all about.
And if you're in a relationship with somebody and you have that feeling in the pit of your stomach, like there's something not right here, or why do I feel like I have cold feet? Listen to that.
Yes.
That's not a feeling that you get used to. It doesn't go away. You can try to push it down, but that means something. And I had that. I know you did.
Yes.
It's not something that's acceptable. It's not just cold feet. It's not just, oh, I'm nervous because I've never been married before and I don't know how it's going to go. That's your own body telling you in a physical way that this isn't right, you know? And I wish I would have paid more attention to that. I think the main thing is, you know, if you say you're a Christian, if you subscribe to that, then go to the word. If you aren't sure, if you think that, you know, there's something wrong with how you feel or there's something right with how you feel, go to the word, because that's the litmus test for everything, really. I mean, that's what we have as the word of God to help us with all of this stuff. So test it. You know, it's not going to steer you wrong. I think that's really the only way to look at something like that and try to be objective about it, I guess, is, you know, if you really are feeling that you're being pushed or pulled in one direction or the other, take a step back and consult God. You know, he left it for us to use. That's the main thing. And I you know, that's another thing too that we could probably talk about another time, is that even being in the church, being married to someone like that, they try to pull you away from your faith, and they'll try to keep you from that, especially if they feel threatened by it in any way. So if you're you know, looking into things and trying to use scripture to explain where you're coming from and it's contrary to what they want, they're going to do everything they can to crap all over it and get you away from it because it's threatening their position. So you got to be careful of that too, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I guess it kind of goes along the lines of the whole like boss telling you what to do. Like he always had an issue with the pastor, you know, there's always a problem with them. And, you know, there was times when we would just stop going to church and, you know, I don't know if for me, if it was like, I don't think it was like what you're saying, like based in the church, but I know I resented having feelings for a while. When I was married, it was just so difficult for me that I just kind of became numb after a while. I just wanted to be numb of any feeling. I don't want to hurt anymore, I guess. I didn't want my feelings to lead me astray, I guess, quote unquote. I didn't want them to cause me to stumble. And I think for a long time, I didn't understand why God made us with feelings, because I'm like, all they do is like mess us up. Like all they do is lead us to all these bad decisions. But you have to like embrace those. Like I understand our feelings can do that, but we shouldn't resent having feelings. Like we shouldn't resent caring for people or things, or caring about a cause, or, you know, loving somebody. Like that's okay. Like even if it does lead to you getting hurt sometimes, it's okay. And I think I really grappled with that. I think I wasn't okay having feelings. I just wanted to be like a robot where I could just go through life and compartmentalize things and not have to deal with that part of it. Now I can see the beauty in it, even though it's messy sometimes. It's a beautiful thing. You know, it's beautiful to have care and love, and then you can share those scars with others too, because there's so many people that go through similar things. You can turn around and use that hurt to help someone else out. You know, you can get down in that trench with them and get dirty with them and love them through their hurting and their difficulty and see them out the other side. So I embrace it now, and I didn't for a long time. I just wanted to be a good Christian and follow the rules. And now I'm like, no, there's a lot of gray area in life. Things aren't black and white anymore for me. So I guess that would be like my perspective on it.
You can see people probably, you know, the red flags leading to marriage and stuff. They're like, yeah, it's not that bad. What would you say to them?
If it's not that bad, then it's not that good either. If that's your perspective, then
well said.
You know, like if you're going to be with someone the rest of your life, like you should be all about it. You should be all in it. It should be great. It shouldn't just be like, well, I guess they're not that bad. So, their flaws aren't horrible. And I guess I could put up, like, you want to be with somebody who's into you and who you're into, and who's somebody you could have fun with, and somebody that makes you enjoy life more, and somebody who adds to you like that. I don't know. That's just the way I look at it too. Because I've been out with a few people, and I don't stay with somebody long if I don't see a future. And I haven't with anybody yet. So that's kind of how I felt too, I guess, is like, well, they're not that bad. Like, they're not like my ex, they're not horrible, but like, that's not the person that I see myself with. And that's not somebody that I'm really like deeply connected with and who I can really see like a great future with. Like, I'm not going to settle again for something mediocre. I need, like, it's going to be great or it's going to be nothing. So I guess that's my opinion. Your turn, Tony. What do you got? What you got, boy?
I'm with you. I definitely don't base any big life decision on I could put up with that. That's not the way to go. I mean, there's stuff you're gonna have to put up with being married because no one's perfect.
Right.
But I think that a lot of people I think they just hop into it way too quick, and they don't think so much about what being married really entails, because every flaw that other person has, everything that you think might change, it spills over onto you.
Mm-hmm.
You're taking that on. You really are. And it's a huge deal. I mean, it's a big, I don't know how else to say it better, but you are taking on everything that person is and everything that they do, good or bad, and having been married to somebody that was just not a nice person, I'll tell you, I became a crappy person. I really did. I I came out of it, but you can't have a decent piece of fruit and a rotten piece of fruit next to each other and the rotten piece of fruit get better. It just doesn't work. And we've all heard that analogy before, but it's so true. You're not going to fix somebody. Your goodness is not going to make them better.
No matter how bad their
You're going to be corrupted.
was. Yeah. They could blame, their parents, or, they had a raw deal in life. There's nothing that you're going to do that's going to help that person that has a pity party every day and just is the victim all the time. Like, that's something within them that's going on. And thinking that getting married to them is going to make things better. It's not. I can tell you that for a fact. It's not. Like,
makes it worse because then
everything is
they're
so
comfortable. Because then they got you.
Marriage is hard, period. But when you're married to a narcissist, it's a nightmare. And like, I think that goes for anybody, even in a healthy marriage, thinking that getting married is going to fix things and make things better. It's not. You have to get right before that point, because it's going to get hard. There's no escaping it once you make that commitment. So crazy to think back now. All these memories are coming back and I'm like, whoa, girl, what were you doing? Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, please don't make my mistake too. Please don't do it, girl.
Oh, good. Yeah, singleness is better than a crappy marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for real.
It's the bee's knees.
I'm enjoying the hell out of it right now. After having somebody in control or trying to do everything for you and having tabs on you all the time, it's nice to just decide to do whatever you want to do. And there's no one there to make you feel bad about it or check your phone constantly because they don't trust you.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's another topic for another day too. Huh?
Right. That's a whole other thing.
Good Lord.
My favorite part was coming home to an empty apartment. I used to dread going home. I would even think up places to go, or I would like start driving home and I would just drive right past it because I couldn't stop because I would be so freaked out. I would just be dreading it so much. And now I can just come home and no one's yelling at me. No one's nagging me. No one's accusing me. Just peace. It's my sanctuary. And it's the best. Like, that's my favorite part now. So I'm really grateful for that.
I'm with you there too. I feel the same way. the first time I left and came home and there was no one else here. Oh my God, I could have just fallen on the floor and laid there for an hour, just basking in it. It was
Right?
good.
Oh, good. It's my favorite. Best. It's the best.
What would you guys say to people that are hesitant to leave for financial reasons?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I mean, everybody's got their own support system or lack thereof.
Right.
But I think that if you really are, like, if you really don't have a support system, start stashing money away for when you do leave. Make a point,
Yeah.
if you do have a support system, swallow your pride, get out of there, and let people who love you help you, because that's tough by itself for a lot of people too. But if it helps you get out of there sooner, the people who really love you will gladly help you for as long as it takes.
Amen.
I mean, even if I didn't know somebody that well at this point and I knew they were trying to get out of a relationship like that, I would help them just because I know how terrible it is.
Yeah.
So, approach people at, if you go to church, talk to somebody. If you really don't have anybody, seriously, just sock money away. I did that for a little while too, just because, their narcissists are so terrible with money all the time that, you never have any to get anything done. So, stash them away, get ready, prepare yourself, make that decision, and then following those steps to follow through will probably actually help you in the end when you do leave to solidify all of that, so you don't have that, should I leave or should I not leave, or maybe I'll wait. You've been working toward it for a time that might actually even kind of help you springboard.
Yeah. I know that was a concern of mine, was like all the money coming in was from him. I didn't have any money of my own. And I did have a great support system, and it was still really difficult for me to leave. But I think that's great advice, to sock away money in a place where they can't get to it, to kind of prepare yourself and to prepare your mind too, because you have to wrap your mind around it a little bit. It's going to be shocking either way, but to kind of get yourself ready and try to make a plan. And even if you have to go to a shelter, there's a lot of women's shelters, or, like abuse victim shelters, where you can go where people don't even know where they're located. And, you can escape that person and feel safe because, no one knows the location and no one knows that you went to that one. And I mean, it's easier said than done, and I can relate to that feeling. But please, if you're in that situation, please just think about it, and please get the courage to go. Just err on the side of caution. Think about it that way. Take care of yourself, because you're important and you matter. And, you have to do that first step for yourself. And it's difficult, but it's so empowering, and you're going to feel so much stronger after that. And things are just going to build from there. And maybe right now you can't see a future without that person, or you can't envision success in your future, but it'll be there. It might take some time, but you can do it. Like, you're stronger than you ever realized. You're strong. You can do it. I hope that doesn't sound too trite, but I think having that pep talk, I wish I could have pep talked myself sooner and been like, you're strong. You can do this. Just because a person beats you down doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't. You just have to reach within yourself and find it. It's in there. I think realizing that and then owning that and being confident in that is where it starts.
People joke about self-talk, but man, that is an important tool in your arsenal there. There's a reason why they train Navy SEALs and special ops to engage in positive self-talk with themselves. It's powerful stuff.
And my self-talk used to be so negative. Negative. I couldn't do anything right. I was never going to be good enough. I wasn't pretty. I wasn't smart. All these negative things kept coming to my head, and I still grapple with that sometimes, and I still battle that minefield, Now I can come, when I start to feel like that, I come around and I say, no, that's not true. And I just tell myself what is true, because that's not me. It's so important to tell yourself those things. And I've come across a lot of women who've been in abusive relationships since I've been in mine. And I've seen a lot of them come out and leave the person. And it's the best knowing that I was there to kind of support them during that time. And they can look at me and be like, man, like, she got out of this. And I remember one girl I used to work with, she was in an abusive relationship. And one day he hurt her pretty good. And I had told her some stuff that happened to me, and she couldn't even come to work because she was black and blue in the face and she just couldn't do it. And she called me during my lunch and she was in tears saying, man, I remember you saying he did this to you and that's what happened to me. And she just couldn't deal, but she had that connection with me, and she knew I wasn't going to judge her for that. She knew that she could share that with me. And I could just encourage her and tell her, like, don't back off of this, like, you need to take care of yourself and your kids, because she had kids with him. Thank God she's not with him anymore. So, but yeah, like, being a part of someone's process like that in their journey too it's such a blessing for me to be able to use that and help other people.
Yeah, ministering through your pain. That's amazing.
Yeah. It wasn't for nothing. So yeah. I can't really say I regret any decision, even the bad decisions I've made in my life. I can't regret those, because they've brought a lot of good fruit out, later on. So, but I think a lot more awareness needs to be brought to that. And I don't think it's, like I said, I don't think it's ever okay for that to happen. And I think it's okay that people report it and say, I'm going to hold you accountable for the way that you treated me, even though you're a woman and I'm a man. I think that's perfectly fine, and that they should totally do that. I know for me, I didn't report every single time something happened. And like I said, when I did, then they were like, oh, it's not that bad. You're not missing any hair, even though he pulled your hair. That's what they told me. And I was like, I didn't really want to press charges, but that really clinched it for me, and I didn't. So I think like that things have been a lot more lax, I guess. I don't know if it's just true of our area or if it's true of everyone's area now. It's just the cultural norm where, like, this stuff happens all the time. It's just not really that big of a deal. I think it is a big deal. And I think that people should be prosecuted more for things like that, even though they feel like it's some kind of a minor offense. I don't think that's the case at all. I'm not a cop or a judge. Maybe I should be. Just kidding.
Career number 2. There you go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's
change law school, yo.
It might take me a while to get out, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, thank you guys. You guys are such good speakers.
I've never been told that before. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's said anything good about my speaking before.
Well, thank you both for taking the time to talk about what you went through in the spirit of helping others. Despite the fact that we've known each other for 20 years now, I actually learned a lot. I also have a new respect for what you guys went through after leaving your relationships. So thank you for that. And thanks to everyone who took the time to listen. If you didn't know it, we're on Apple Podcasts now, where you can leave us a glowing review, hint, hint. And don't forget to send us your stories or questions that you'd like us to answer on Twitter at SincereTactless, or email us at sincerelytactlesspod@gmail.com. Bye for now.